today, this is the ninth and final night of Navaratri, the Hindu holiday that celebrates the goddess, the feminine power of the universe, the divine feminine as she shows herself through many forms, through many shapes, through many expressions. She is the power of the universe to diversify itself. She's the power of the universe that moves with and as the Big Bang from a unity, from oneness into manyness, into diversity, into plurality. She is the manyness of the universe, and she is the embodiment of our own complexity, because we ourselves have many faces. We hear in spirituality so much of this teaching of finding your true self, and when you hear that, you can ask yourself, which one? Which of my true selves do I need to find? Because the truth of who we are expresses itself through a diversity of being, just like the truth of the universe brings itself into form through a plurality of expression, through manyness. And in a way, that's the beauty of the universe, is that it expresses itself through diversity, that our differences and our many ways is what makes this universe, what makes this world, what makes humanity, what makes life on the planet so beautiful. And also healthy, because what makes an ecosystem healthy is biodiversity, right? The more life forms there are, the healthier the ecosystem is. So even within us, the more of ourselves we can access and bring expression to, the more cohesive we are, because the more we break ourselves, the manyness of our pieces creates the cohesion and the togetherness of who we are. And who we are is a continuous process of becoming. It's not like, oh, the universe makes itself and that's it. The universe's making of itself makes itself. And as it makes itself, it's in the making, right? Creativity and creation are one. Creation itself is the process of creativity. And creativity includes in it dissolution and disarray and collapsion, as I like to call the the action of collapsing, right? So Siddhdatri is the goddess of today. Siddhi in Sanskrit means power, and it often refers to superpowers, and often refers to supernatural powers. And this goddess is the invitation to bestow powers on others, because she is Siddhdatri. She is the one who gives superpowers. She's the one who offers power. And it's interesting to take into consideration that our power is in giving it away. And that's a complex statement, right? Because we don't want to give our power away. And let's hold the paradox for a moment, because we want to anchor ourselves in our own power and not give somebody else or something else power over us. We don't want to diminish ourselves and let something else define us. And we want to remind others, and I think that this is what Siddhdatri is the invitation for, to remind others of their power, to give others the power by reminding them of their power, by helping them see and helping them access their own strength, their own skills, their own talents, their own place in the world. So to give somebody from your power is to be so powerful that you can be free with it, that you can be generous with it, that you don't hold it to yourself, but rather emanate it and offer it and share it. And isn't that so? Wouldn't the world look different if instead of trying to dominate one another, we shared the power? Because look, well, whether we like it or not, the power is shared. It's just that some of us hoard it and hold it and want to control others with it. And some of us understand that in order to, for example, in order for our species to survive and to continue, we're going to need to share the power. We can't hold it and hoard it the way that we have, the way that humanity has done in more recent times, because there were times for humanity where humanity did live in reciprocity with nature. And indigenous people remind us of that, right? They remind us of the reciprocity between us and the rest of creation. And now creation itself is creativity itself. The power of creativity is held in creation, and creation is something that continues to become. So in some ways, the story of Siddhdatri is the story of the universe's ever becoming. It begins with her as a great void, as a great darkness, as Kali, as Mahakali, as the goddess who is the primordial power of the universe, who is dark and absorptive. So it begins with this great darkness within which there is a spark of light, within which there is an aspect of the goddess herself, the capacity of radiance. And the darkness and the light are woven together. They are not two separate beings. It is a woven together tapestry of possibility and of potency. And as the light emerges, it begins to grow and expand. And it doesn't take away the darkness, it just grows and expands. And as it grows and expands, it becomes a form, right? Because light does bring with it the ability for order to take shape. So then she starts to take shape. So from the great Kali, from Mahakali, from the great dark primordial primal urge to exist, rises a power that becomes Lakshmi, that becomes the goddess who is the moreness of the universe. Because one of the things that the universe is always going to give us is more. It's always going to make, in one way or another, through dissolution, disarray, chaos, cohesion, and connection, it's going to, and sustainability, right? It's going to keep making more of itself. And it's going to keep making more of itself by death, destruction, and then the life that emerges, the possibility that emerges through it. And some of it is going to be suffering. Some of us, from our human perspective, we're going to not like it. We're going to fight against it. Some of it is even demonic in a way, and we have to resist it. Because as humans, we do have responsibility to do what humans do, which is work through some of the things that we are seeing and working with around us through cognitive understanding. And that's also going to grow and expand. If we stay on this planet, our cognitive capacities are going to keep developing, right? Because that's a part of our evolution as a species. So I'm going in many directions at once because that's how we do things here on Mama Mandala. So the goddess Lakshmi comes out of that light, or the light starts to coalesce as the goddess, and she's golden and radiant, and she has golden coins pouring out of her, and she has elephants emerging out of her, and pools of beautiful clean water that the elephants drink out of and spray more water out on creation, so more creation can become, because water is the source of life, at least on this planet, right? And so this goddess, as she becomes herself, also gives birth to 3 gods and 3 goddesses. She gives birth to the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And we also know and this is not, we don't need to look at it as gender, because it is a code, it is an energy, and between it and within it, there's going to be also the non-binary, the more possibilities that keep growing out of what is possible, right? More is going to be created. So this goddess births the trinity of creation, sustenance, and dissolution. She creates Brahma, who is the creator. She creates Vishnu, who is the sustainer, and she creates Shiva, who is the destroyer, and she creates Saraswati, who is creativity. She creates Lakshmi, so she herself creates herself as another form of herself. Lakshmi as sustenance, as the power of sustainability, as the capacity to nourish and feed and keep things alive. And she creates out of herself what she came out of, which is Kali, right? Isn't that, it's all interwoven like that beautifully. And she creates Kali, who will then devour the world, destroy it, digest it, and in her womb will keep creating it. And so as she creates the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and the cycle of creativity, which includes in it dissolution and nourishment, she brings into form all that we know. She brings into form galaxies, and she brings the solar system into creation, and she makes the earth, she makes everything that's cosmic and everything that's earthy, flora and fauna. She makes plants. She births all the animals, or the feminine and masculine that she creates give birth to more feminine and masculine. She gives birth to the flowers, who are the sexual organs of the plant, and the insects that are going to sip on the nectar so that pollen can be picked up by the insects and continue to pollinate and fertilize the world. So she gives the possibility of the continuation. She gives birth to the possibility of continuation. And the universe, the world that she creates, it's not, oh, that's it, it's ended. It keeps becoming. She bestows siddhis, she bestows superpowers on those three masculine divine cycle of creativity, and on the feminine, and then the universe keeps becoming. It becomes through its own power, and its power is also going to destroy it so that it can renew itself. The Indian mind is very much cyclical and repetitive and recursive. So we have here in this story the invitation into the power of creativity to keep becoming, to make more of ourselves, to ask ourselves who we want to become, to ask ourselves, who can I become and who could I become if I share the power rather than hoard it, rather than grab it, rather than trying to be the only one that holds it, which we are seeing in the human world. And we can see it in nature too, that battle, the battle and the struggle, and the war around territory, right? And who's going to control and who's going to eat who and who's going to have more food. It's not humans didn't invent this, okay? And because of our cognitive capacities, we expect more of ourselves, right? Because we can ask ourselves, who do I want to become? And if I can ask myself, who do I want to become? I can create new ways of being. And then we can't do this alone. We have to join together. We have to do that together. And then we are going to keep moving in that battle, on the battlefield of life, because the story of Navaratri is a story of battle. Because listen, even inside ourselves, we don't need to go into the world and into the wars of humans. We can look inside ourselves and see the way that we are battling inside ourselves. There's going to be, I just thought about this today, and this is personal. I won't make it too personal, but I'll give you an idea of what I'm working with in myself. That sometimes the energy of protection that I work with when I'm dealing with stuff, with the stuff of life, or with the inner conversations that are very much in relationship to one another, because we're relational beings. We're always in relationship to our environment. We're never just ourselves. That's another aspect of asking ourselves, who do I want to be? Because who you want to be is never going to be just you, because who you are is not just you, because who you are is a collection of culture and nature and place and the society and a time, and the time, right, that you live in. You are a product of so much more than your own self, than your own decisions, and your decisions and your cognitive awareness and participation is also part of it, but it's not the only part of it. So I thought about today of how in my processes of protecting myself when I am facing certain kind of struggles in the world and in myself, I have a very destructive reaction. I become very self-harming in my tendencies, not in my actions, but in my inner conversation. I can hear that voice that is very hard on myself and wants to destroy myself. And I thought about that today, that that's a part of me that wants to protect myself. That's a part of me that, oh, things are going this way. I might as well destroy myself so that I'm the one destroying myself. So that, oh, I already know that I'm unworthy of anything, right? Like the stuff that we do inside ourselves. So, and I'm only sharing this and giving it as an example because I know that you have something like, not exactly like that, but in some way or another similar, because you know what? None of the things that we go through in life are only our own. We are unique and one of a kind creatures, and we are also just like everybody else. We are special, and we are also nothing new under the sun. We are just like everybody else. So our experiences are always going to be something that somebody else can understand. And yet, in the audacity to try to understand each other, there's a line where there's got to be care and tenderness, which the goddess invites us into because of certainty, because she's a goddess that battles certainty. Because we don't want to claim that we know something when we are not the person who is going through what they're going through, right? So our knowing has to be limited. So there's even a paradox in her bestowal of superpowers, because those superpowers, the siddhis are known in the yoga tradition, and a lot of yogis, ancient yogis, believed that they could achieve it through sadhana, through spiritual practice, and some modern yogis think that that's a possibility too, that we can gain these superpowers. But those superpowers are in some way a claim to be immune to the issues of the world. There are this claim to a power that leaves you immune, basically, and in immunity, in 100% immunity, there is certainty. And as we've explored so much in those last few days of Navaratri, certainty is what gives it gives birth to tyranny. Because if something is absolute and impenetrable, then it becomes the buffalo demon that is immovable, that can't be accessed, that can't access change, and is so resisting of change that it becomes rigid. But you know what happens to rigid things? They become brittle. You know what happens to things that are brittle? They break down. So in our resistance to change, we create the possibility of change too. And I don't want you to resist change. I think it's important that we make room for it, because then we can empower ourselves through the process of change. Then we can be creative in who we choose to become. And as we choose who we're going to become, we're going to create the opposite of what we want to create. I just want us to think about it for a second, because when the goddess creates the divine, when she creates the three gods and the three goddesses, she also creates demons. She gives birth to all the gods, and as she gives birth to all the gods and all the plants and the flora and the fauna and the insects and the flowers and the animals and everything, and the mountains and the streams and the oceans, she also gives birth to the demonic, to the problematic, because everything has a shadow, because she has a shadow, because she emerges out of shadow, because she is Lakshmi being birthed out of Kali. Everything that exists is part of existence. It's part of the goddess. Everything that exists is the children of the goddess. And so when we create ourselves, we create the shadow of this new version of self. So we want to turn toward it so that it doesn't stay in the shadow and in the unseen, knowing that as we turn toward the shadow, there's going to be more shadow. There's always going to be more that we can't see. And that's hard, but that's what makes the vulnerability the power. That's what makes us divine, because we are not the demonic certainty. Because we turn toward the shadow and we understand, oh, I've created this magnificent new version of myself. I see it. When I'm working really hard on my issues and on trying to cultivate a new way of being, I can see the shadow that comes with it. I can see the certainty that creeps in. And so we try to turn toward it so that we can see it, so that we can, so that it doesn't haunt us. And as we turn toward it, we know that there's more that we can't see, and that it will haunt us. It will hunt us down. It will emerge out of the darkness and be our problematic, because we can't get rid of the problematic. So how do we embrace the paradox of being both shadow and light? How do we own the power that is going to have the ability to express itself through something extremely problematic, but also as something that is valuable and meaningful and can bring to this world gifts and nourishment? And it stays a question. It stays something that we keep asking. Who do I want to become? And what is the shadow that I'm creating? And how can I address it? And how can I make room for the unseen? And how can I keep connecting and weaving together the person that we are, the person that I am, the person that you are, not only within ourselves, but with the knowledge that this woven together tapestry is also a collectivity, and an ecosystem of biodiversity. So this ninth day of Navaratri is an invitation into our multiplicity and into the embrace of the paradox, and into the core of everything that this holiday offered us in the dance between shadow and light, between demon and divine, between the masculine and the feminine, and all that comes through it. So then, into this great power, we invite ourselves. And if you are into this, I would love to invite you to join me for Bond with Your Life, which is a deep immersion in yogic teachings and practices, but that it's also a collection of somatic cues that you can take with you into your life, so that when you see your shadow, so that when you experience it haunting you, you can access your power and your strength and your intentionality in a way that is embodied, in a way that is somatic, so that the somatic influences and affects your nervous system and therefore your hormonal balance, and through that your mental emotional state, so that you can address things. Okay, this is a deep dive into ourselves as a multiplicity of wholeness in a well-rounded way, because we'll tell stories and we'll look at symbols and we'll turn toward nature and teachings from nature, and we'll go into a mythopoetic transmission through different cultures, different places, and we'll build ourselves and connect to one another and build a community as well, and bring ourselves into that delicate and powerful threshold of our empowerment and our vulnerability, of our creativity as the process of breaking down older ways, and of dissolution as a way of reformulating who we are. And it is going to be this incredible in-depth 6-week journey that will, if you're in the US and you are stressed about the elections, this is going to help regulate your stress levels. If you're not in the US and you're stressed about the US election, because we have a tyrant that is threatening to destroy the universe, so we have to come together and arrive in a soft space that is also deeply empowered and deeply connected and really come together, so that we can make a change. So if you're somewhere else but you're with us and you're also nervous about this tyrant being elected, then this will help your stress levels. If you are adjacent or in the war zone, wherever it is in the world, because there are several places right now, we can breathe together and support one another. All the information is on mamamandala.com. I'm going to leave a link for you in the description of the video. I would love to see you there. It is going to be deep and transformative and like a loving embrace of life's paradox inside our bodies. So let's do this together. And let's turn right now to a mudra, a vessel to receive the teachings and the ideas of Siddhdatri and the mantra that we will chant. So we will do Shakti mudra, the mudra of the feminine power of the universe. We're going to bring the pinky fingers to touch, the tip of the pinkies and the tip of the ring fingers to touch. And then bring your thumb in, just fold it in, and fold the index and middle fingers over the thumb. And just let it rest like that in front of your heart, or you can rest it on your lap, and allow your eyes to soften. And if your eyes want to close, you can let your eyes close and tune into your breath. Feel your breath rising and falling. Receive yourself where you are right now. And invite all of your parts, the ones that you love, the ones that you struggle with, the ones that you are not fully sure who they are, the lost pieces, the extra pieces that you don't really know what to do with, the parts of you that feel broken, dysregulated, disconnected. Bring it all in. And invite into the space that you are in, the space that you are in. Invite into yourself the plants that maybe grow in your area, the energy of your area, if you're in the forest, if you're by the ocean, if you are deep in an urban landscape, if you are near the sea or by a river or in the desert. Receive yourself in the space that you're in and receive what you are surrounded with. And allow yourself to breathe with it, to let it in as you breathe in, and to bring yourself to it as you breathe out. And into the complexity woven together, nuanced fabric of reality of which you are a part, and into which you get to continuously weave yourself and create yourself in new ways. We'll call this power of creation as Siddhdatri through her mantra. Om Devi Siddhdatriye Namaha. Deep breath in. Om Devi Siddhdatriye Namaha. 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 Allow the mudra of power, of capacity, of strength, of the feminine energy that makes, destroys, and nourishes the universe. In the form of this mudra, Shakti mudra, allow it to unfold into Anjali, into the gesture of the heart's deepest offering, and offer yourself your own power, your own creative potency, and offer it to something greater than you, this great power that flows through us, that makes us as we participate in creating it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this journey with Navaratri was interesting for you and enlivening and nourishing for your mind and your heart. And if you haven't checked out the previous videos, you can. It's not too late. And you can check out all the written pieces on mamamandala.com. There's a written piece that goes with each of those days, with each of those stories and goddesses. And join us for Bond with Your Life. We start this Sunday, October 13th. So this is it. Last call, last chance. So I hope to see you there. And I'm so grateful we had this moment together. Thank you. Namaste.